Today, we're going to be talking about blessings and cursings in your tabletop role-playing game, and also Tiefling poetry. Up next. What is up, everybody? This is Everything Board Games, and I'm your host for today, Paul the Techno Funk Boy. Today, we're going to be taking a look at a 5th edition resource book that is called Blessings in Tiefling Poetry. That is presented by Dark Eagle Games. A PDF copy of this book was provided to me for the purposes of this review. This is actually one that I was excited to see, and I'll tell you why. Because this is not like the sort of, tabletop resource book is not normally the type of thing that I really get into, even though this one actually approaches it in a way that I really do like. But the particular reason that I was excited about this one is because of what happened in one of my regular games. It's a Dragonlance game called The Thorns of War that some of you might be familiar with on podcasts. But in this particular scene, the players ran across a priest of the old gods, and the scene turned out to be much more meaningful and fulfilling than I expected it to. It was one of those scenes that like everybody was just really on point with role playing and how their characters were approaching the scene. And at the end of the scene, one of the characters asked the priest for a blessing. And after all this great scene, I ended it in just the most, just uninspired ways ever. It's like, okay, he gives you a blessing. Go ahead and take inspiration. I was like, I had nothing else. So when I saw this book, I was like, oh, this is actually, this is something that I hadn't thought of until that very moment when I needed it. So let's kind of get into this. The book itself, and we're going to get into the Tiefling poetry book part a little bit later. But the main point of this book is to give you ideas for blessings. This is pretty self-explanatory. I'm pretty sure you picked up on that. But the way it's approached is really interesting, and I think really well thought through, because it's not just a list of blessings that a priest can give you, but they're split up into blessings from different sources. So they can be more divine, something that like a priest or a holy person might give. It could be infernal. So yeah, the little help that the demons give you, right? Or it could be tranquil, which is more of the nature approach. Now, there's going to be a wide variety of effects on these, ranging from fairly mundane to actually seriously powerful that can affect major things like death saves. The source is going to dictate a lot of what these particular blessings do. The divine ones are more about healing and justice, where the tranquil ones are more about nature and what nature can provide in a given moment. And so each one of these has a very unique effect, which is a really great approach and gives you a wide variety of things that that you can play off of, that you can really kind of dig into, and to give you ideas about the particular circumstance, what who is giving the blessing, and what might that blessing actually do for you. And it's certainly not just inspiration. Look, everybody loves to get inspiration, but it's the thing about this is that it's getting me to think through things in a slightly different way. Like, what else could it be? What could you put in front of the player that that is surprising, that is interesting, that is not what they expected, and that these blessings can not just be this passing thing where your religious character is talking to a priest. It's like, oh yeah, but please bless me before you go, but can actually be a reward for something. That could actually be the reward for a quest, is this great blessing that kind of opens up things more. And when like resource books start getting the wheels in my brain turning, that's when I really like them. That they're not just that they're not the kind of resource that is like, okay, you can stop using your brain, here's the answer, here is exactly how to do this, this min-max thing or whatever the case may be, to do that, but actually start giving you ideas that you can play off of, right? So the most of this book is built up into the blessings. There's a little section for cursings too, which I think 5th edition does better than blessings. Well, there's really not many blessings in 5th edition adventures, but we do see some cursings. But this, again, it's trying to, the book is giving you ideas, but also trying to get you to think about this in a particular way, in a different way that really opens up blessings and cursings to be a major part of a certain campaign. And then there's a section that I wasn't really expecting at all, which is several, and when I say several, I mean several quest ideas that will enfold the certain blessings from the book into it. And so it's not just kind of teaching us how to make how to make these real rewards. It's also giving us ideas on how to unfold it in. Now these aren't like fully written out adventures. They're outlines of how things might play out. And I do think that the point here is ideas that you can run with, that you can mix and match, that you can that is showing you different ways to set things up so that your next adventure is going to be better. It's going to be presented in a way that your players probably aren't expecting, which is always a little bit of a thrill in the adventure. So when I got to the end of this book, like, the creative juices were flowing, and that's the type of book that I like. I think that this particular book, look, I mean, if you're planning a session that is going to involve like a priest that is that might fit these circumstances, look, okay, they're gonna have to deal with this priest. The priest is gonna have to give them something. Oh, maybe I could use one of these blessings. That might be a good time to take a look at this. But in general, I'm always encouraged by books that are trying to get us to look at the game from a slightly different angle, so that the game that we as dungeon masters present is more intriguing, is a little bit is a little bit deeper. And I do think that this is one of those books. Now let's get to Tiefling poetry. All right. So the book is written by a Tiefling character, Tal Vamur Sixborn, and the character the character of the writer just permeates this book, which adds a bit of whimsy to it that I really appreciated. That um, you know what I like to compare it to? It's when Dragonlance Nexus put out their Tasselhoff pouches of everything, and there were the little notes from Taz just everywhere in them, and they were just they were very whimsical and they were fun. That's kind of what this reminds me of. Nearly all of the Blessings and Cursings have at least a couplet of poetry written um, by this tiefling character, and can fit rather well as the blessing itself. That somebody might present to your characters as it goes, but it also just adds a little bit of personality to it. You very much see that character come through the poetry. So some of it is excellent, some of it is not great, but it's all in good fun, and that's one thing I very much appreciated about it. So at the end of the day, this book has a lot of good ideas, and it has a lot of fun character in it that it turned out to be quite a bit better than what I was expecting, and really really helped me think through the game I was presenting in a little bit more full way, which is something I greatly appreciate. So links are below. Take you to Drive Through RPG, where this resource is available. Dark Eagle Books Games has several books out that you also might find interesting. Really appreciate y'all hanging out. Please do, if you are not subscribed on YouTube, please do hit that subscribe button, hit the thumbs up. Feel free to put down any comments. Everythingboardgames.com is going to be a great resource for you for board game news, tabletop role-playing game reviews, all sorts of great stuff there. So check it out. Thank you again for your time, and I will be back very soon. See you then.